I don't have no nice time. It's only in the roots down. Where the rednecks are playing, see the darker than my sway by the DJ and DJ.
All right, looks like we are live, guys.
I don't have no nice time. It's only in the roots down. Where the rednecks
All right, we have a little bit of throwback here. Let's fix this real quick. All right, looks like we are live, guys. All right, we have a little bit of there we go. I found it finally. That's what you get when you try to engineer your own shows here every now and then. All right, guys, welcome back to another In the Weeds Prohibition Talk Radio. We are back for another great week. I've been really excited for this show ever since I talked to Leo a few weeks ago. We got him booked for the show. We've been watching Leo Bridgewater do some amazing things down in New Jersey, man. And I'm super excited to get you on the show. Today, guys, we have Timothy Fair from Vermont Cannabis Solutions joined with us. And we're also going to have Chef Rodney Leinhart joining us in a little bit. He's going to be running a little bit late. And Thomas Markholm, our Growers Guide segment producer, will not be with us today, unfortunately. He's up in Maine doing some consultation and some field work with some farms. So good luck to him today, and be safe. Hopefully everything works out for him, and he'll be on next week. So he's just going to be a little absent today. But now we're going to get right into it, guys. No news, no nothing. Vermont, we're still in a pause. We're going to talk about that with Timothy a little bit later in the show. But we're going to get right to Leo. Leo's got we got a lot to talk about, man. But first and foremost, Leo, introduce yourself to all of our listeners. Let them know who you are, a little bit of history, where you're from, and like literally how you got into cannabis, because you do have an amazing story.
Oh, wow. Thanks, man. Well, hey, everybody. I'm Leo Bridgewater. I am the National Director of Veterans Outreach for Minorities for Medical Marijuana. And I also serve as the Chief Innovation Officer for CWCB Education. Right now, I'm coming to you from the capital city of New Jersey, Trenton. And we are 3 weeks and some change away from voting for adult use here in this state. You know, you guys are about, a few hours away from, maybe having it. Whereas for us, it's, going down on November 3rd. As of today, it's polling at over 61% of New Jerseyans are for adult use. I just want to put out real quick that if you are watching this in New Jersey, you have until October 13th to get out and register to vote. That's the deadline to register to vote for November 3rd. And it is question number 1 on the ballot, so please vote yes. With that being said, the ramifications or the collateral, the ripple effects from us voting for adult use is that because New Jersey is sandwiched between the number 4 media market in the country, which is Philadelphia, my team, I'm an Eagles fan, and the number 1 cannabis consuming city in the world, which is New York City, should New Jersey fall for adult use, and if done correctly, we could leapfrog everyone and go straight to number 2 in terms of revenue behind California. And that's because we have a population of 9 million people. We have 110 million visitors a year. And given our proximity to the number 1 cannabis consuming city in the world, you guys do the math. And so, the ripple effect being, Jersey being the medicine cabinet of the country, being at all the pharmaceutical companies that are in this state, when you talk about cannabis legalization, you're messing with 3 types of money. You're messing with old money, which is the pharmaceutical industry. Then you're messing with long money, which is the alcohol industry. And then you're messing with big money, which is the prison industrial complex, which has been thriving here in the state of New Jersey. And so in the 5 years that I've been involved with cannabis, I've, testified in Senate committee to have post-traumatic stress disorder added as a qualifying condition to the New Jersey medical marijuana program. And in 2016, then Governor Chris Christie signed our bill into law, S2345. And I am one of the many plaintiffs in the lawsuit against the Department of Justice to have cannabis completely descheduled. The constitutionality of cannabis being a Schedule I drug is what's in argument. We just got word a few days ago that we'll be hearing next week whether or not the Supreme Court of the United States will be hearing our appeal case to have cannabis completely descheduled. So if that were to happen, if they decide to take on our case, that's going to be monumental, because then at this point, it's for real now. The argument is going to be settled once and for all. And so the fact that you have cannabis being a Schedule I drug, yet there, in order to be a Schedule I drug, you have to have zero medicinal value, and you got states that have medical marijuana programs. There you have it. So right now we have 17 amicus briefs attached to our case to help push along, to help, give the Supreme Court reason to take on our case. And that was a big mouthful, but that was pretty much everything right there, bro. Now,
Leo, if I could jump in real quick, who is the lawyer on this case? Is that Michael Hiller and from Hiller
and
PC?
Joe Bondi.
I know Mike well. He's a great guy. Great guy. I work closely with one of his associates, Lauren Riddick. That's awesome, man.
I was gonna say Lauren. It's
Lauren,
Mike
right?
Hiller, Lauren Ruddick, and Joe Bondi.
Yeah, Joe Bondi. I don't know Joe, but I've heard such amazing things.
So doesn't that?
Those guys are just absolutely incredible.
So hearing those three names plus Fatima plus Zach.
You know Zach, right? I was gonna say you gotta know Zach Tyson, right?
Right. So hearing those names.
Just called me actually.
Yeah, so hearing those names, don't that make you feel better about our chances with the Supreme Court? Like, come on, dude. Like we going there. We got the dream team. We going there with Michael Jordan. Pippin, what, bro?
Yep.
What?
I love it. Oh, Leo, I'm so happy for you, man. That's awesome. Congratulations. I really hope they get cert.
Oh, I hope if they take on the case, it's a wrap. It's on. If the Supreme Court says we're gonna take this case, it's on, dog. It's on.
I mean, that's been all over the news lately too, because that came out of Colorado, didn't it?
Nah, man, right here.
Jersey, right?
Yeah, and New York.
Out of New York.
Yeah.
And Joe, what you're thinking about is the hemp case challenge to the DEA's assertion on controlled substances of concentrates. That's coming out of Hoban Law in Colorado. But this is Hiller PC, man, right in downtown Manhattan.
Yeah,
I love it. My hometown.
Yeah.
This is exciting, Tim. No, I couldn't wait to actually get both of you guys together because of all the major strides you've been making, Leo. Timothy, obviously, as our lawyer on board here for My Cannabis Solutions, he follows the law, nationally very well. That was a discussion we're going to get into later in the show, which we'll probably go over again, because there's some great news this week. That is huge, though, man, because now we're challenging the law, right? We're challenging the ability to make this illegal, right? I mean, this goes pretty deep. This goes back to old law, doesn't it?
If let's say they take on the case, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you see Tim's, enthusiasm. He's going in there with the squad, right? If should they rule in our favor, it effectively makes cannabis legal.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that one of the things that Mike told us in our last group meeting and whatnot was that, look, it's really, really rare to get an amicus brief attached to your case. He's like, it's rare to get one. And he was like, dude, we sitting on 17. And he was like, 7 of them came from members of Congress. And I was like, God damn, shit, okay. And it was like, he was like, this is big. Check out there's an article that came out in Forbes magazine yesterday about it. Because Representative Blumenauer, filed an amicus brief on our behalf with this case and attached it. And somehow or another, Mike, was even able to, reference the Sean Worsley case in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So, we really trying to make shit, we really trying to make this, we got extra motivation now.
No, if that happens, like you said, that it doesn't. I guess I want to let people know that what it does is basically just wipes out the bills and all the laws that have made cannabis illegal, right? So it takes everything off the board or right back to an agricultural product, correct?
Absolutely, it's a tool that is no longer available to the traditional agencies. Ain't no wait, nah. Nah, nah, all that go away. Once the Supreme Court said, because think about what happened when they ruled in favor for gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Like the next day, people was like, bing, 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 bing. You know what I'm saying?
Done.
You know, so what that does is that puts that gives an adrenaline shot to the industry as a whole. And when you look at the fact that 50 million people just applied for unemployment benefits in the last couple months, you know what I'm saying? We talking like our governor told us a couple weeks ago that we lighten the ass on the budget off of COVID. You know what I'm saying? It ripped us a brand new one. And so now we need, and when you talk about this, you know, like the revenue is going to be in, you know, in the billions, like at least $500 million. You see what I'm saying? The first couple years. So it's like, yo, like we're talking about unaccounted for money, brand spanking. Like we ain't talking about robbing Peter to pay Paul, like taking funds from one department and putting it into another. Hell no. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy part is here, you know what I'm saying? You disrupting, like I said, some big money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to be able to show, and mind you, all this talk about cannabis, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, ain't nobody really saying much about industrial hemp.
God, thank you.
And that's all. It's like, dog, like, really?
This has been a focus of our show for a long time. Is that, you know, there's a CBD bubble. You know what I mean? The medical uses of this plant.
And notice I said industrial hemp. I ain't say shit about no CBD.
No, that's the thing, yo, because now, you know, we're talking about, you know, CBD and plants, and this is the market. And I'm looking at going, you know, we have a huge industry in the construction market that hemp can be utilized for. And then you don't have to grow grape flower. You just grow industrial hemp and you're taking the stock. You can even utilize the stalks from your flowered hemp if you don't, you know, your byproduct from those runs, I guess you could say, those grow operations that literally just either burn them or ship them out, right? Those can also be utilized for fibers, whether it's clothing, plastics. We're seeing glass being made out of cellulose, which also could be made out of hemp. They're doing it with trees now, right?
Let me tell you, let me tell you how big my head is thinking, right? I'm looking at all those fires in California and I'm going, okay, replace that shit with hemp. Like we can have, I'm not saying we'll have forests, but we'll have plant life in 90 days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We need to rejuvenate the soil. It's a great soil
exactly.
Brings the carbon right back into it.
Exactly. You want to save Flint, plant a whole bunch of hemp. You know what I'm saying? You want to clean up some toxic, you know, ground and everything like that. Just plant hemp. That it'll clean that shit right on it, suck it right up on out of the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like I walk. There's so much unused space in the capital city of Trenton, and when I look at that unused space, all I see is hemp fields. Like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like the every 90 days you harvest it. Like, come on, this is ridiculous, you know. But the thing is that, you know, we are at the, you know, infancy stage of a brand new industry. We don't even have an industry standard unit of measurement yet. That's how infant we are in this. You know what I'm saying? And we, you know, right now, when you look at, you know, the laws and the way things are changing, especially here in New Jersey, you know what I'm saying? New Jersey is going to be the jumping off point for the rest of the Northeast. You know what I'm saying? That's why whenever I used to do Canna Gather events, I used to always say, you know, I used to look at the city of New York and be like, yeah, y'all welcome. You're welcome, New York. Because if we weren't doing what we're doing here in Jersey, you know what I'm saying, they wouldn't be moving as fast as they're trying to move when it comes to cannabis there. And the same thing in Pennsylvania. They're trying to fast track a legislative bill. So they're trying to do this shit so fast, they ain't got no social equity shit in it. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's only because now, you know what I'm saying? Because now, you know, the states are they need that money. We got to make up all this money. You know what I'm saying? From the loss to COVID and everything. And, you know, when you have 50 million people applying for unemployment benefits, you know, everybody ain't gonna have jobs to go back to. So what percentage of those people are going to go from Canna Curious to Canna Serious? You know what I'm saying? So that means that those of us who are already doing it, particularly from the African-American community, we're going to have to be the ones to do it for everybody else at first. So now what we have to start doing is we have to start building the infrastructure for that first generation worker bee, because this industry isn't defined by education yet. You're gonna start seeing the whole thing. What happened in Illinois, that set off a tidal wave, because now states are going to start requiring to be some sort of formal education in this shit, because that's how you stave off all that predatory lending and all that stuff. And that's what's been, killing a lot of social equity programs and stuff. People know how to take advantage of other people, so you got to get educated on this. In the meantime, yeah. And so in the meantime, people like us got to start, we got to look for worker bees, you know what I'm saying? Because our industry is so brand new and so still in its infancy. We need human hands. People are not putting two and two together. The GDP, the United States GDP shrunk by 32 points in 1 quarter. You know what I'm saying? Now, the stock market didn't have a comparable, contraction in the same period of time, or in a 90-day period. That didn't happen. So what that tells me is that these Fortune 500 companies have figured out a way to make money without people. And then when you look at the way a lot of these companies have figured out how it's much more cost effective for a lot of their employees to just be home. You know what I'm saying? You see what's it's like everybody tightening up. Whereas for us, we need people. Now we need, it's not even going to be about quantity of people. It's about to be quality of people.
Yep.
And so right now, and so there are going to be things that you're going to see in the next couple of years, you know what I'm saying, where it's going to be like one day we was this, and then the next day we was something. It's going to feel that way. Yep.
I mean, we talk about a lot of times, Tim, we talk about this all the time. With legalization, it's going to become restrictions, it's going to become regulations, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to build a company out of this. They want to build a business out of this. They want to build, the sky's the limit in some of these people's cases. But for the realization or the expectation that this is going to be anything different than any other business or any other industry or any other, whether you're in the restaurant industry, you pick an industry, guys. There's a corporate level, there's a mid-level, there's a craft level, there's boutiques. This is what it's all about, right?
Well, most people make the mistake of thinking that the first thing they need to do is touch the plant. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like folks don't realize, like, year before last, I think Colorado brought in $1 billion in revenue from cannabis, right? Total cannabis sales. Yep. All right. The ancillary market made $1.5 billion. So the businesses that support the plant made more money than the business that actually touched the plant. Now that tells you something right there. Like, people don't realize, like, you want retail, right? Yeah, you want people, like, you want a dispensary in your neighborhood, because you know what comes with a dispensary? Security, like a mug. You know what I'm saying? It changes everything. Like, people don't realize all the things that happen. The greatest private benefactor of cannabis going legal in Colorado was Papa John's. And that's you know what I'm saying? And that's because that just so happened. Yeah, well, it just so happens Papa John's was the biggest, was the largest food chain in Denver at that time. And what happens when you smoke?
Everybody's hungry, right?
Yeah. So, people, like, I've been telling business owners around here, like, y'all gonna have to start hiring people pretty soon once this shit goes legal. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that, like, when you look at what's happening here from a legal standpoint, Pennsylvania and New York only have medical. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, we have reciprocity in our state for medical. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention, if we go for adult use, where you think a lot of those people in New York gonna go get their weed from? They already come here to go shopping,
right?
Where you think all the people in Philly and Pennsylvania gonna come? You see what I'm saying? Like it's they're not gonna let us get away with making that much money for that long. Ain't no way, But the only problem is that our politicians, they're not, they're not time appropriate in their formal education of the plant and how it all works. That's why they're slow. And you know who they are. You got two types of people in government. You know what I'm saying? You got Jetsons and Flintstones. And right now, we're asking a bunch of Flintstones to write the rules to a Jetsons game. And you know who they are based on the words that they use. I mean, look, for nothing, Joe Biden is a Flintstone. Because every time you talk about cannabis, when you just say cannabis, the first words that fly out his mouth is rehab. And you'd be like, oh, God. Like, like, when they think us addicts, you see what I'm saying? They still think us addicts. So it's like, all right, we have to be time appropriate, you know what I'm saying? And so over this period of time, especially when you talk about the African American involvement, communities involvement in the industry, what social equity programs should look like. Some people think, some people like in reparations. I do not like that term when talking about cannabis, because I think that cannabis could never pay back what's truly owed in terms of reparations. But I do like to talk about restitution. I do need to be made whole from this. You know what I'm saying? Specifically me, because you use this to do something to me. So I want some restitution off of this. And now you best better believe when I'm talking about social equity programs and everything like that, I'm strictly coming at it from a restitution perspective.
Right. I mean, we talked about social equity a little bit before the show, right? And obviously, it's one of the things that's hanging up our S54 bill here in Vermont is the social equity issue, I believe. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that's kind of out there right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do talk about this a lot. How can these corporations be making millions of dollars while we still have people in jail serving terms on charges of cannabis, right? Whether they're huge, small, and a lot of them are not that big, right? Thank God for COVID, we got some of these guys out of jail, right? I mean, some people got pardoned out for COVID reasons, which is ridiculous on my end too.
But you have to understand that what COVID did, what the pandemic did, was it showed the lawmakers that our industry is pandemic proof.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because they made the legal dispensaries made a killing, and they're still doing it. We ain't even on the other end of this. Look, at the end of the day, right now, I can guarantee you that everybody in the state of New Jersey and everybody in the state of Illinois, Massachusetts, no matter what, the entire country now qualifies for a medical marijuana card just off of anxiety alone. And we ain't even add the 45 factor into it all. If you look at the current racial and political climate of this country, you know what I'm saying, you can't tell me anxiety ain't all the way up. You know what I mean? So, right. Let's call it nothing for nothing. I mean, like right now, in order for us to, as a country, to move forward from this whole COVID thing, it requires everybody. Yeah. We literally need all hands on deck. We don't need people in jail that truly don't need to be in jail. As a matter of fact, we need their asses working because they know how to do this shit that we don't know how to do.
Well, the second thing to that, what you just said is expungement, right? Let's talk about that for a minute, because these guys, even when they're released out of jail, I mean, how many people do we all know personally right now that are probably some of the best guys in this industry, but they can't work in it because they have a felony because of the industry, right? They serve time. They've already done their time and they're out.
That's real. That's real.
On a positive side, right? And then we're hiring these guys that don't know what they're doing. They're tomato growers. No offense to tomato growers. I want to get into the industry, right? The industry is welcoming everybody, but I hate, like what you said, I hate seeing these guys that are suffering from the industry that have already, again, served their time or are serving time who will not have a chance to be a part of this industry at any level, at any time down the road. You know what I mean? Because like you said, once it becomes legalized and the regulations come in, it's going to be no different. You're going to be filling out paperwork, right? You're going to be filling out tax stuff. It's another job, right? It's another industry. What's New Jersey doing right now in terms of the social equity? Like, how do you feel about it personally? Like, is this a good thing that they're proposing right now, or is this something that is going to be built through like a Cannabis Control Commission?
The interesting thing is that when it comes to a social equity program in New Jersey, they're not even moving with anything until they first get a vote. That's how they think here. I mean, and to be honest with you, no matter whatever they decide to do is never going to be enough. Truth be told, again, like I said, we're asking a bunch of Flintstones to write the rules to a Jetsons game. Right. We're lucky to be at this point. And the thing is that what's truly required of us is actually our involvement. You know what I'm saying, to teach. Like, I don't know who's advising these lawmakers, but, right. They've gotten social equity and social justice, combined as one. You know what I'm saying? Now, the thing is that, at this point, they're going to move forward with this without us. You know what I'm saying? You've X'd yourself out of the conversation for so long that now everything that we want and everything like that is secondary in comparison to the needs of the state. Right. And so if I'll tell you this, if it, you know, like if you're looking for a social equity program and the way things should be done and can be built upon, look at what's going on in Massachusetts. Look at their social equity program. They even did things where they gave certain license to a specific group of people for a period of time. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That gives everybody a chance who's really who about that life to get their shit together, put their stuff together, and stake their claim. You understand what I'm saying? Now you ain't got a reason to you ain't got a reason to say it's specifically meant for just you. You know, so you know, like I think things like that, you know, and then what that does is it means like, you know, okay, now you have to form partnerships and stuff like that with people whom you normally wouldn't, you know, work with. Cool. You know what I'm saying? That's something we all can, you know, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? No problem. It's like right now, you know what I'm saying? Where if this was a television show, you and I are in season 8, episode 4. They're in season 1, episode 6. You know what I'm saying? Spoiler alerts, not a gateway drug. That's the season finale in season 1. Like, come on, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like in season 8, episode 4, what we're talking about is we're talking the establishing and the cultivating of international trade routes. You know what I'm saying? Like other countries are already looking at not just New Jersey, but the United States, period. And they are already here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You have to understand, like I was summoned to the consulate for the Czech Republic a couple of summers ago. And I met with the ICCI, the International Cannabis and Cannabinoid Institute. You know, you realize they, you know what I'm saying? In this meeting, I was in there all day, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, it blew my mind. They had the ports of Bayonne and Newark already divvied up. They know exactly where they coming in at. And then want to ask me about Atlantic City. Like, what? They've already got our state strategically mapped out. And when you look at the fact that California is now on fire, all that product, you know what I'm saying? And here we are talking about coming on board. Dude, come on, man. And if this court case with the Supreme Court goes through and it effectively is made legal federally, now you're talking, you know, the SBA, you know, like all that, you know, you got to get like regulation, all that stuff got to be like written. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so and listen, if it don't make sense today, we have to, like the things that we put in this, whatever state you in, the things that get put in, there has to be mechanisms so that if it don't make sense 3-4 generations from now, those mechanisms can be used to make it make sense then. That's a difficult thing to get people to think about, you know what I'm saying, when you live in an instantaneous type society such as the one we live in. You know what I'm saying? Like it really, like we have to be really smart, and it's really, you know, like these are the things that make it so that you always feel like you got the lights constantly on in your head, because you go to bed with this on your mind, you wake up with this on your mind. It's the logistical aspects that I'm preparing myself for.
Well, I'm glad you brought up a lot of that, because a lot of what you just said, a lot of what we are facing here in Vermont, as far as like the kickbacks against the bills and things like that, like everybody just thinks they're set in stone. We can't fix anything. You know, like you said, the CCCs, they're important, man, because they're the guys that are going to be able to make the changes. They're going to be able to look
exactly. They don't. People don't really understand like what exactly are you saying no to? Because really, like here in New Jersey, our commissioner for the medical marijuana program, his name is Jeff Brown. Solid, good dude. You know what I'm saying? Real good dude. And he be busting his ass. I give it to him. And I let him know, I'm like, you know, the thing is that what people like him in his position, what the people are is his muscle. We're his muscle. You know what I'm saying? When you have 90,000 medical marijuana patients in your program, you know what I'm saying? When you call the governor, he takes your phone call. You understand what I'm saying? He listens to you because, you know, we're now what you call a voting bloc. So that's something that, you know what I'm saying, the governor has to always look like he's in good standings with this particular I'm sorry, man, it's about to start raining, so I'm just packing my stuff up.
Well, that's all right. Like I say, you guys do have an amazing governor down there. It's it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting to see the contrast of what's going on in New Jersey, because it's like literally, New Hampshire, in Vermont here, it's been a governor issue, right? We finally got to the tables. It's been a governor issue. We saw in New Hampshire, it was, it did with the governor. And now your governor is literally like jumping up and down, making waves all over social media, making news in the last week about getting New Jersey to legalize, right?
Correct. Yep, he is. But he's been doing this for a few years. I mean, to be honest with you, the preferred way to legalize cannabis actually is through legislatively doing it.
Right.
Because when you legislatively legalize cannabis, the people are more a part of the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's. Mm-hmm. That's what legislatively legalizing cannabis does for you. Mm-hmm. When you do it by ballot referendum, all kinds of okey doke can happen, which is what I'm preparing for in terms of just trying to mitigate the collateral damage from our lack of involvement in the space. And so, like our formal lack of involvement in the space. So that's the stuff that, makes it so that it's real difficult. Like, while I'm like scattered, it may seem like I'm scatterbrained, but really it's just I got a lot of things going in different avenues that I got to shore up.
Right? No, I hear you, man. I mean, it's not easy what you're doing. And I think one of the big things that we, people got to realize too is like, there's grassroots movements, right? The grassroots movements are great, but it's kind of like, what we see on Facebook. It's just like a movement on Facebook. It's like an ice bucket water challenge. Like really, like at the end of the day, we love we love that people are out there supporting it. But unless we get into, like you said, into the political space, unless we are there talking to these guys, unless we are there fighting for these guys' rights, what are we really doing, right?
Right.
It's a legislation issue more than it is, like a social, acceptance issue, right? Which is kind of what the grassroots organizations did. They helped make it socially acceptable. They helped show that it wasn't a bad thing. But now we need to take that step forward like a normal does and get into the politics, right? Not everybody wants to go down and vote. They don't think their vote matters, where it legitimately does, right? Especially at this time of the year where, we have all of these offices being obtained by who's running. You know what I mean? What's their view on cannabis? How are we going to legalize? And now we're seeing games with legalization due to the to this whole process of voting and getting through these elections and seeing, hey, you're going to pick me or not now. You know what I mean? It seems like that's what we're going to get through, federally, right? We've seen you pushing back COVID things now till the end of an election. I don't seem to think that, cannabis will be anything different. But like you said, this thing you guys brought to the Supreme Court here, right, is that could be huge. You know what I mean? Hopefully that's get something that gets taken up and heard soon. Do we know anything on the timeline of that being, if it gets accepted, when it would be seen? Tim, do you know anything about that, or Leo?
I would imagine, like right now, there's a lot of unnecessary bickering that's going on, particularly when it comes to like senior leadership in the state congressional Black Caucus. Senator Ron Rice, who's been a staunch opponent of cannabis legalization, he voted no against PTSD being added as a qualifying condition. He's one of those ones that I tell you that has social justice and social equity all wrapped up into one. So until that social justice part of it all is addressed, he refuses to even discuss the industry part of it all, which is, again, which is par for the course in terms of dealing with a Flintstone. Right. He now is of the opinion, like he wants to see decriminalization happen. And it's like, whenever I hear someone say, I want to see decrim, I'm just like, all right, listen, point to an example in these United States where decriminalization actually worked. I mean, right. Because New York City's been decriminalized since the 70s. You know what I'm saying? Right. That, so you're not like, you like that right there. And the thing is that if you're still saying decriminalization in 2020, you're not educated. No. You still, like, it's not like, it's like I said, I'm not surprised. I mean, you could tell, like, it's like someone, like I always say it feels like it's like someone who still calls black people colored. Like, what year are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even talk that way.
You're
you
right.
know, like that's where they are right now. You know, and it's like dealing with a really stubborn old person trying to teach them how to use their iPhone. Like, stop! I didn't tell you to touch that button. Look, it's this button. You know, like, and in the meantime, you know what I'm saying, because I see how late they are and I see the damage being done, and and here's the thing, they don't even want to talk. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is like, okay, look, you know what I'm saying? I got to get to work. You know what I'm saying? I really got to get to work. At this point, I have to be time appropriate with everything that I say and do. I don't have the bandwidth to be like, please listen. Nah, fuck it. Look, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't, you know what I'm saying, and those like me, if they don't, we never will. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even like right now, you know what I'm saying? Nothing for nothing. I'm not even trying to find money for people to get into this industry. I'm trying to find money for the people that's in this industry. Right. How about we take care of that first class right now? Because it's a lot of us, especially a lot of black people in this industry right now. That's like working right now. Like, this is their craft. You know what I'm saying? The Wanda James, the Shayuna Data-G's, the Hope Wisemans, the Shonda Maciases, you know, all the, like people like this, the Calvin Fries, you know what I'm saying? The Rico Lamits, you know what I'm saying? Like cats like that, you know what I'm saying, that are actually doing this, you know what I'm saying? Like, them the ones who need, like, that's whose brands we gotta start the uplift and everything like that. The Leo Bridgewater shit, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, like, all of us, we working, you know what I'm saying? And we, you know, like, we don't have, like, it feels like, I feel like sometimes like a little bit of butter spread over too much bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Well, you mentioned some insane names, and I just want to point one out. You know, Elevate, right? Because they're going to have a grand opening here in what, a week or so.
October 15th. I'll be in Boston October 15th.
Hell yeah, man! So anybody in Boston that wants to meet up, guys, we're gonna try and go down there, man. We're gonna try and meet up with you down there. Elevate Cannabis has a grand opening. You know, one of the first in Boston, and one of the first minority owned, right? Technically, so this is great. This is huge for the city, I believe. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
African American multi-state operator now. He has a dispensary in Eugene, Oregon. You know, like, he's like this dude is like, you know, he's the little brother I've always wanted, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, he's doing it right, you know what I'm saying? He's even got a thing where he's trying to help people, you know, like, there's franchising opportunities that he has, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of stuff that we need to know who's doing what, and start getting to work with it now. Right, well, like, that's really what it all boils down to.
Even in this situation, if we can just stand by these guys, help these guys, they're going to open that door for other minorities to get into the game, no matter what they're from, right, or who they're from, or where they're from, right?
Exactly.
Because, like you said, if he's multi-state operational, he's got the things rolling. He's opening up opportunities for more people. He's opening up opportunities for more people. If there's franchising involved, and he's opening the door, man. He's paving a way with what, you know, literally a lot of this industry is doing it right now, right? Against some of the worst, you know, back and forth fighting, like you said, they're for it, but they're against it. They say we can do it, but they put everything in place that literally makes it the hardest thing for us to do ever, right?
I mean, like you know, like, at this point, you know, how many times somebody gotta give you their ass to kiss before you believe they don't really care what you think or say? You know what I'm saying? Like how many times? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying don't, because, you know, like, the issue that you have here, you know, especially like in New Jersey, right? The problem we have is people here in New Jersey, especially black and brown people, don't vote. You know, like, I live in Trenton, New Jersey, which is the capital city of New Jersey, right? The last time we had an election for a mayor and city council, we had 38,000 registered voters in the city of Trenton, right? Out of that 38,000, guess how many people actually voted?
Oh, man, probably 20%.
8,000.
Yeah.
8,000 out of 38. And mind you, you know what I'm saying? We have had babies and old people shot and killed, and ain't nobody jumped. I mean, a whole lot of hooping and hollering, yeah, but the actual meaningful, things would be in voting, and they still don't vote. A lot of people here don't even realize we're voting for adult use, despite all of the social media efforts and stuff like that. They don't even know this is going down, much less what we, you know what I'm saying? So this empathy and all this stuff that's going on, it serves to the benefit of a particular type of people. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. Like, this is what you see in this city. You can say the same thing about Trenton. Trenton's just a microcosm of the rest of the country. All the things that I'm saying, you could just X the word Trenton out and put it in your hometown. And it will probably apply, especially if you live in the urban cities. You know, the thing is that, this apathy here and the way things are, this serves somebody. You know what I'm saying? A very real effort was made to make it so that you're totally turned off to the idea of fulfilling your most basic of civic responsibility, which is voting. So if you ever wanted to know what does it look like when majority of the people check out of their most basic of civic responsibilities, just look at Trenton, you'll see. I mean, damn, we broke our murder record the other day, or we're about to break we're close to breaking our murder record, all kinds of stuff in a year. So it's the like you see what I'm saying? Like the way, I'm not saying cannabis or hemp would save the world or anything like that, but damn, if there's one thing I've been talking about is not a program. I haven't been talking about a grant. I have been talking about industry, a whole industry. You understand what I'm saying? That's like jobs. Like, we're not just talking about facilitating a cultural shift and how we view this plant. We're also talking about facilitating a massive, massive transfer of wealth. Logistically, it almost can't be quantified. And they ain't even wrote the laws yet. Right. You see what I'm saying? Like, there will never, ever, ever, ever in the history of the world ever be another end of prohibition on cannabis again. We're the only ones who are going to experience this. That's it. We picking the new old names now. At one time, Anheuser and Busch were new names. That's where we at right now. And in the midst of a pandemic too, like, come on, money. Like, come on.
I think the pandemic is really the biggest eye-opening, has to be the biggest eye-opening to anybody who has a prohibitionist mentality, because it's like, A, we became essential, right? B, like you said, we are crushing records every month, and it's still going up. It's still going up. You know what I mean? And think of where
the thing is that, like, we had no point of reference.
Right.
Like, none of us were here the last time this wasn't illegal. You know what I'm saying? We have 0 point of reference.
I think we mentioned this before, like last week or something with Tim. It's like, no matter how bad it gets, just think about how good it is to sit where we are at right now in this day and age, right? Because we are further ahead than we were, like you said, 5 years ago, which was further ahead than 5 years prior to that, which was a hell of a lot further ahead than the 5 years prior to that. You know what I mean?
Look, the 5 years from now, you know what you're not going to hear? The first Black person to do such and such, such and such in cannabis.
Right.
That's about to be gone.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things I love about cannabis too. One of the things I loved about cannabis when the industry first kind of came to tuition is people were social equity happy, they were pro. I mean, like we mentioned mass, right? They came on board early. They kind of held their feet back. They dragged their feet. There's been issues, right? Other states, there's issues. We have the social equity has to be a thing. Hopefully we can get this removed, this descheduled, right? With that descheduling, it just means basically all the laws get removed, right? It just gets wiped off. It's not a decriminalization. It's not any sort of, like, to me, a decriminalization is just you get a small ticket, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what is decriminalization, right? You're still getting a ticket. You're still getting in trouble. You're still getting confiscated, but you're not going to jail. We talk about the impact in our jail system. I mean, even if we just were to get these people out of jail, work on social equity, wouldn't it relieve tons of funds that we're wasting on keeping these people in jail?
So like, again, remember, we're talking about the logistical aspect of it all. You know what I'm saying? All those things would have to be worked out with the state government, the Department of Corrections. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, they should be planning or have even begun talks of, you know, like how logistically, how are you going to, you know, handle the amount of people that you're going to have to let out and exactly who you want to let out. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, where's the line get drawn on who gets freed and who doesn't, right?
Right. Like, and again, you know what I'm saying? Like, before they've had things where they wanted, you know, record automatic expungement up to 5 pounds, and our state legislature couldn't wrap their brains around 5 pounds. In their minds, 5 pounds was the same as like, so you're trying to let El Chapo out.
Yeah, right.
Like that's what they thought. They like you're like, no, like 5 pounds, that's a little bit of weight, you know what I'm saying? But in their minds, we was talking El Chapo type weight. 5
Right.
pounds. Not realizing
what you supply a dispensary for a day. Really.
Again, you know, like they in their minds, that's why I said you got Flintstones and you got Jetsons, and you know who they are based on the words that they use and the way they react to, you know, the whole idea of cannabis being legal. That's why I said Joe Biden, he still says rehab.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Like, no. You know what I'm saying? And if you actually follow the money, you know, like look at like here in New Jersey, you know, as much of a staunch opponent to cannabis Chris Christie was, you know, you find out, you know, he's got money tied up in rehab centers.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yo, you really got to start following. You got to start following money. You got to start like all that stuff has to, you know, really, you know, take place in terms of how you're approaching this.
Yeah, me and Tim talk about this a lot when we see either fundamental ideals shift. It's usually because they join a team, right? If they're stubbornly not shift, it's usually because they have an investment in something. You know what I mean? Like, you know, let's talk about Mitch, right? Like he has hemp farms, right? I mean, he's got farms in his home state, right, Tim? We talk about this a lot. So there's vested interest for these guys not to see laws pass or even to see laws passed now. I mean, we've seen starch opponents of cannabis for many years are now on boards of cannabis companies. You know what I mean?
The hypocrisy of it all.
Right. But, you know, in some of these cases, though, I just want to point out, though, like, you made a great point earlier, right? Like, usually it takes something major to change these guys' minds. Like, even our grassroots, all of our hard work on the streets can't change some of these minds until it happens to a family member. Until one of their family members gets cured or saved or utilizes cannabis for medication, right? And then you see these guys change their attitudes. I mean, we've seen that, right? It's happened a lot, and thank God it's, you know, unfortunately, I hate to say thank God it's happened that way, but thank God it's happened that way, because otherwise, where would we be, right? If people were not open-minded enough to utilize this, or at least try this as a medicine, a treatment. We're adding more and more different conditions onto treatment lists in states all across the country, right? Which is a positive thing. We're seeing Epidiolex being more utilized in other countries, even though that's an FDA-approved drug. Now, my question, I know you're busy, and I'm going to lead into Tim with this one too, but is a lot of this a DEA's fault? I mean, every article I seem to read, it seems to be a DEA issue. The DEA won't respond. The DEA is slow moving their feet. The DEA set up all these incredible guidelines that we can't meet, right? Even with your lawsuit, the suit talks about it's literally because the DEA won't answer you guys' questions, right? So now we have to take it to the Supreme Court, right? And in the federally, we talk about it. I mean, what's the DEA? How do you feel about the DEA in all this, really, and their power to control it?
Well, see, the DEA, you have to understand who empowers the DEA. They're an arm of the federal government. So, you know, like if you want to look at the success of the war on drugs, you know what I'm saying, you have to understand who would bill it as a success. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like a success for who? You know what I'm saying? So as far as the DEA is concerned, like, hey, what I'm saying? This was a good titty for as long as they could, what I'm saying? And now they just got to find another titty, to suckle off of. And that's really what it boils down to, and so, like one other thing too, when you look at law enforcement, what I'm saying, especially like here in New Jersey, like here's what's crazy. In New Jersey, right? Police officers kill themselves here.
Yeah. High rates too.
Yeah, it's like it's trippy as shit. And here in New Jersey, police officers have a steroid problem. Like Roy Rage and all that stuff is big time here. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, again, when you're talking about, and I shouldn't even just say police officers, just law enforcement, period. You know what I'm saying? The things that the things that are not so sexy to talk about, you know what I'm saying, are taking a real serious toll here. And so, what cannabis legalization does is, one, it takes a tool away from them that they use, because 80% of all of low-level, non-violent, minor possession of cannabis is people, Black and brown people, okay? Now, 81% of all use of force in the state of New Jersey is also Black and brown people. So not only do they like to lock us up for this, but they also like to beat us for this, okay? So again, those are very real things. I don't care what numbers say and all that other stuff. I'm telling you, what I'm giving you is boots on the ground, real-time intel. This is what is happening and been happening. Like right now, we as a country have more Vietnam veterans who actually came home and killed themselves than actually died in the war. And we passed that number years ago. That 22 veteran suicides a day, that shit is real. It's so bad. Like, look, hey y'all, they mailing us the pills now from the VA. In some places in this country, if you're a veteran, you get them pills mailed to you now. That's how bad this shit is. And so not only are we in the midst of a pandemic, but we've been in the midst of an opioid abuse and addiction epidemic on a number of levels. You know what I'm saying? And so now you got medical marijuana programs that's using weed to help people get off that shit.
And that's the number one.
It's not even a gateway; it's an exit way now.
Right, and when we talk about opioid issues, right? That's the number one killer in America right now, and nobody wants to discuss it.
Yup. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I say like when we say like this shit is the ripple effect is mighty. You know what I'm saying? The ripple effects is mighty, like to the umpteenth degree. And again, whose money we messing with?
Right. Yeah.
Whose money are we messing with? You know what I'm saying?
It's that politic game. Rodney, I think you're trying to talk. I can't hear you, brother. I think Rodney's trying to get on this. No, I still can't hear you.
There it is. I had my
there you are.
Sorry, I just smoked a joint, guys. Calm down. Leo, how you doing? Nice to meet you, bud.
Hey, bro, nice to meet you, man.
I'm still stuck in that titty thing. I'm still back at titty, all right?
You like that, right?
I want to throw something in. Yo, check it out. So what it is you're right. Chase that money. But here's the thing. We live in the land of the free, but you're only free with inside the yard. You feel me? It's the people that are deep-rooted in this money that really control shit. Real talk. It's just like shadow banning and shit and bullshit algorithms on Instagram and Facebook. You can do what you want and say what you want within reason. And they can't.
You know how that feels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So you can, they shadow ban you, or they'll fuck with your numbers and make you basically give up. So what happens is they make shit so complex and so complicated and catch you in these snares and shit to demean you, and then mental health just goes down the fucking drain. And then when that shit happens, they ain't done. They're kicking you while you're down. When that shit happens, that's when you get addicted to fucking, pills. You get addicted to fucking coke. You start drinking your fucking life away. Dude, it's just like being a chef. Real talk. No bullshit. The exact same. Dude, I've seen a lot of chefs kill themselves. Like one night, they're there working. You wouldn't have said anything. The next morning, you get a phone call. Not only you got to cover their shift, and you don't have time to grieve, they ain't there. And it's all
the industries that lead America in suicides is the culinary industry and the mail industry for whatever reason, right? I mean, there's stresses everywhere that this can really help out. Leo's brought up a bunch of great points, and I like the I like these reverse thoughts of like what are the effects on our prison systems when we legalize? What are the effects on this opioid crisis and all these deaths we see every day get reduced, right? I mean, we're in like Leo says it in a great fashion. We got Flintstone still talking about like car accidents,
right?
Like, come on, man! Like, how many lives can we save? How many veterans' lives can we save? The VA is not even being, they're not even considering cannabis, right? But we got our military now doing cannabis tests, which is to me a great thing. But why? What's going on with the VA, man? Like, why?
Well, okay, so you got to look at it in two different ways, right? When you're talking about the VA, you are not talking about the Army, the Department of Army.
Right,
so
it's
you're
different.
Talking about, that's a big, that's a big difference. You see what I'm saying? Like people who get their degrees, like their bachelor's degrees and their master's degrees, while they're still wearing the uniform, that's the Army paid for that education, right? Now, the people who don't go to school until after they get out of the Army, that's the GI Bill. That's the VA. You see what I'm saying? And so so most people don't realize that, when you're talking about the Army and you're talking about the VA, they're not one and the same. They're two different departments. Yep. Matter of fact, you as a soldier, you will deal with the VA, but not while you're actually in the Army. Everything is Department of Army until you get out. And then, and so when you look at the way the VA has been traditional, like you have to understand, PTSD is just the term that we use today. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it was called shell shock.
Yep.
Back in or you was on or you was Section 8. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's another term for depression as well. I don't remember what it was though.
It's old school too. You're right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I just saw it on Ratchet, man. That shit's crazy.
See,
you want to see white people watch that movie. That's a fucked up movie, man. The whole season, it's just insane.
Well, so the thing is that the traditional route to treat post-traumatic stress was the pills and pills and counseling.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Correct. And so for me, prior to me doing this advocacy stuff, I was a social consumer.
Okay.
I only thought about myself. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. It wasn't until I had an incident one night where a battle buddy of mine was actually about to kill himself. And, I will tell you that it was a very scary time.
That's when
I was a newlywed. I had just gotten married, and this was my wife's very first experience, with actually dealing with something like this firsthand, seeing it. Mm-hmm. Thank you God, we got him help, you know what I'm saying, and he's good to go. But the thing is that he didn't have the option of cannabis. You understand what I'm saying? And for him, it was all about those pills leading him in the direction in which he was being led. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, this dude is one of the finest soldiers I had the honor to ever serve with. And to see him, reduced to this was really disheartening. And that's what really started me on this journey. That was the beginning of it all. And, at that time in New Jersey, we had maybe 7,000 people enrolled in the New Jersey medical marijuana program. And today we are up to 90,000.
Michigan just got rid of theirs.
Who?
Michigan just got rid of their medical marijuana quote unquote program. Yeah, you don't have to have a med. There's no point in having a med card now.
Well, I said earlier, if you look at, based off of COVID, the entire state of New Jersey now qualifies for a medical marijuana card.
Yep.
Just off of anxiety.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody should have it.
Emotional whiplash from all the bullshit going on in 2020. I'm right there with you.
Well,
Most certainly. And you can say that through the whole country.
Oh yeah.
You
can say most of the world.
Yep. And so, hey, I just want to say hi to my wife. That's my wife, Dr. Lashana Bridgewater.
How you doing, wife? How you doing?
She looks a lot better than you do. That's a good
thing. Thank you for supporting this man right here.
You should see how she's blushing right now.
No, you guys are an awesome team, man.
Yeah, I definitely married up.
That's my plan.
You guys like that. Before I know you're busy, and before you go,
no, you're good. You're good. I'm home now. I'm good.
I'm home now.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about the strain, man. We talk about veterans. We've been talking about all the social equity, all these rights, but like we haven't even discussed one of the coolest things you've been a part of is Bridge H2O, man.
Oh yeah.
What about this?
Oh wow. Okay, so about 2 years ago, I hooked up with Shia Broadshandle at Harmony Alternative Treatment Center up in Secaucus, New Jersey. And,
Oh, we lost sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah. So, he and I were talking and he's like, yo, dude, I want to make a strain and name it after you. I was like, seriously? He said, yeah, And I said, well, I want to be more in the name. I want to be a part of it. And so he was like, absolutely. And so he introduced me to his grower, Adam, and we started talking about different strains and how I react to them and, all that, extra stuff. And he, Adam, took about, maybe 6 months of going back and forth with him. And one day he called me up and he's like, dude, I got it. And I said, get out. And sure enough, Bridge H2O was born. And then, it came out in April 2020. Yeah, this year.
Yep.
So we're excited about it. It's a very strong indica, dominant indica. It's a cross between OG Kush, Kim Dog, and I think Wedding Cake, bro.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest questions I'm going to have for you is, how do I get some?
Okay, so it's you can only because again, this is the New Jersey medical marijuana program, so we have to abide by laws and stuff like that. And so you have to go to Harmony Alternative Treatment Center in Secaucus, New Jersey, and get it. I'm working on getting it into other dispensaries throughout the state because right now the only thing I can do is get it around the state. I can't go out of state with it yet or what have you, but
not yet.
Yeah, but
coming.
Check this out. The first time I smoked Bridge H2O, no joke, I got 10 hours of sleep and no dreams. Put me on my ass, and I consider myself a cannabis veteran.
But wedding cake, a chem dog, and a Kush.
OG Kush, yeah.
That should be that's a dream weaver right there. I mean, I just had some wedding cake and gelato that was like I was telling you earlier. It was like the weirdest experience because I literally wanted to fall asleep. I had so much like gelato in this that I couldn't. You know what I mean? I was just I could do my dishes. Like I couldn't move. You know what I mean? So it's a great strain. Yeah, man, that's huge. That's huge props to you, right?
That's awesome, dude. Seriously.
Thanks,
think
man.
about veterans and
check it out. Listen. I never ever want to do it again. You know what I'm saying? Not like that, man. And the only reason why I say that is because, you know, and this is more, you know, more props to Adam. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, because his, you know, like, the reason why I say I never want to do it again is because throughout this process, I found out I had triggers that I didn't know.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? You have to, you know, I had to be really wordy about a lot of things. And listen, this was not something that Adam even knew either. You know, there were plenty of times I left Adam like this. you know, like, I can't believe he just said that, you know. And it was just because it was in trying to, you know, rationalize my feelings and stuff like that. Because the way things pan out for me is that, you know, like, my wife and my son would start to bleed into firefights. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, and in dreams and stuff. So, you know, the way it would translate outside is like, I'm just like this in the bed. So when I would wake up, I'm more tired than when I went to sleep.
Yeah, because you're stressing yourself out mentally.
Because I was fighting. Yeah. You know, I'm not flailing around in the bed. That's not what's happening. I'm just, but I'm fighting. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, you know, like, and because when you're like that, that's a full workout. That's a whole body workout. You know what I'm saying? Whether you realize it or not. Mm-hmm. But it's not good because you don't get into that realm and your body never really gets that desired sleep. Yeah, you're exhausted. Yep. And so, you know, and those things had an effect on me. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I told, you know, a lot of things I would tell Adam and everything like that. You know, like, this brother, you know what I'm saying? This dude, he would have his notebook, you know what I'm saying? And he'd be like, Leo, just give me a second. I just need to process this for a second. Like, wow. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it took a minute for me and him to develop that kind of relationship. But I recognized early on that I would have to be very open. And so I was, you know what I'm saying? But I went in, you know, kind of naive, not understanding what all it would take when developing a strain, and came out with a whole nother respect for it, you know, like, just on a molecular and emotional level for me, you know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things that I know, in order to be a grower, that actually has to be in your heart, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. If it ain't in your heart, like, if it ain't in your heart, don't, like, I hate talking to people where it's just like, I want to be a grower because it was a good ass idea. Nah, fuck that. You need to know what you're doing. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And the people that actually pour of themselves into it, them the ones you want. You know what I'm saying? Because taste it. Yeah, you know, and Adam is one of those, you know, like, I got to give it to Harmony on that one with their growing. Like he's one of them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, cool ass brother too. I mean, matter of fact, you know, he's Jewish, and he wears the Rasta hats and everything like that. I love this dude, man. That's my dude.
He's a Rasta Jew.
Yeah, like, listen,
man. That's a thing. That's really a thing.
Yeah, man, like the one thing I love about the cannabis and the hemp industry as a whole, it makes the strangest of bedfellows, bro. I mean, it reminds me of the Army so much, because you meet people from all walks of life, all different shades and color, and, you know, you're just like cultures, and you're just like, damn. But you roll that thing up. Yep. It's a cipher is a cipher is a cipher. It don't matter where you at.
Look, green is a connection to uniting all colors. That's the way I look at it.
That's I always say, man. That's why I love this industry, because to me, you know, for a long time there was no color in this industry. You know, and not only color was that we supported women in this industry as well, right? A lot of opportunity, like, and that's something we don't talk about a lot. I mean, we've had some phenomenal women on the show who have phenomenal positions and own companies, and they're doing extremely awesome things in the cannabis industry. And it's an industry that welcomes that, right? Like, I was in the culinary industry, and it's not, you know, it's not a very female-friendly industry. There's other industries where they're not male-friendly industries. I mean, you see cultural divide in many industries where you don't necessarily see cannabis. That's why, you know, and I think that's why there's the huge support for social equity is there, right? Because, I mean, they're everybody's supporting it, really. I mean, it's not just you know, it's just not one minority versus the other, or anybody. It's a collective of people. There's a bipartisanship at federal level as well.
Well, we talked about it's a map for me. it's a matter of principle. You know what I'm saying? It's the principle of the whole thing. Once again, like I said before, you use this to do something to me. You use this as a tool to do something. And so now I want restitution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like that period in the story, period, full stop, right there. You know what I'm saying? Not reparations, restitution. You know what I'm saying? Now, the thing is that as a people, and I can say this, you guys can't, but as a people, you know what I'm saying, are we time appropriate in our preparedness for this industry? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Has it been a systematic thing? Yes, but it's not the only thing, because a lot of it has to do with it's self-inflicted as a community. Our lack of involvement in this industry is also somewhat self-inflicted to a large degree. Even as we are 3 weeks away from voting for this in the state of New Jersey, we are still not time appropriate in our formal education of this plant, much less time appropriate in our formal education of this industry. As of October, what's the date? The 7th?
7th, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. We're not, you know what I'm saying? Now, again, that's not to suggest that we are not here, because, you know, people like me and so on and so forth are actually here. It's just there's not very many of us. And so alliances and stuff like that are things that are going to be very key. You know what I'm saying? We need to know who, you know what I'm saying? Who cool and who ain't cool. You know.
What's everybody's interest, man? I mean, that's literally, to me, that's where I think it lies. I mean, I've dealt with some, you know, what could have been huge deals, and then you know, what's your integrity? What's your interest? What's your vested interest in these products, right? Let's shift gears real quick. We're just running out of time. And I want to keep you on, Leo, because I want you to interject on this. But Tim comes on with Leaf Law. And like we said, there's a couple of things I want to get to him today. And we already discussed one briefly from Leo's side, because you're part of this, which is great. You're in the show, and we're going to talk about it right now. The Oregon, like we said, Blumenauer calls for the Supreme Court to review the historic cannabis lawsuit, right? And that was the Washington versus Barr, and that's what we were talking about before, where you know, there's a big DEA involvement in this case, right? Tim, what does this case represent for us from a cannabis industry standpoint?
I mean, it's a great case because it's common sense. And it's challenging the classification of cannabis as a Schedule I controlled substance, which the definition statutorily is a substance with a high rate of addiction and no medical value, which are rarely do you get them both that wrong. You know, and it's common sense. It does not have a high addictive rate, and it is a medical product. And even if you want to say medical cannabis is all blah, 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 obviously that's crap. But even if you adopt that argument, you cannot deny that CBD was used in Epidiolex, which is a pharmaceutical product manufactured by GW Pharma. We have Marinol, which is a synthetic cannabinoid. We have an endocannabinoid system. We understand the endocannabinoid system. We understand how cannabinoids work with you, or we're beginning to. But to say that it's not medical is just like, it's like Tylenol is not medical. It's ridiculous. So one of the problems is that this case has been brought multiple times over the last 20 years. And the same thing happens every time. The judicial, federal law, and federal courts require procedure be followed. And in order to challenge a DEA classification, before the courts will look at it, the DEA has to conduct what they call an administrative review. So this first came up back in the 90s, where people were like, it is not no medical value, let's get it off Schedule I. The DEA is like, okay, we'll take it under administrative review. Year go by, 2 years go by, 3 years go by, 5 years go by, file another court case. DEA says, well, we're still under administrative review. Court say, sorry, you can't come to the court until you've exhausted all your remedies, and it has to get through the DEA administrative review. Another year goes by, another year goes by, another year goes by. Eventually around 2012, the courts were like, DEA, finish your administrative review, and they ordered him to do it. And he's like, yep, we're on it. Well, now we're in 2020. And the case is being brought again. And guess what? The DEA still has not, after over 20 years, completed their administrative review, still in process. Hell of a review. Hell of a review. Let me tell you, it's real hard to look. Marinol certified, FDA. Anyway, so now it is at the point of this is absurd. The hypocrisy is just. It's funny. We were talking earlier about decriminalization in New York. I grew up in New York City in Queens. Pot's decriminalized, and what's illegal is public having marijuana public. So if you have it in your pocket, it's decriminalized, meaning you're fine only. But if you have it out in public, like you're smoking it, consuming it, selling it, or anything, now you got a misdemeanor. So what police would do is they would stop 95% black and brown people of color in the Brooklyn and Bronx. You got some weed, you got weed on you, take it out of your pocket now. Give them a direct order. If you fail to do that, now you're being arrested for failure to obey a police officer. The minute you take it out of your pocket and it's in public view, now it's no longer decriminalized. Now it's a misdemeanor. We're going to slap the cuffs on and send you to Rikers. Yeah. And this happens to countless teenage 20 guys in their 20s, black and brown, just a great way, social control, and that is an example of why decriminalization is such a joke. And I just that whole process, and we all knew it, and everybody saw it, and everybody, okay, and it's so I feel you, man. And Leo, I just want to say, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you have done for the industry. I mean, it is like we need people like you, intelligent, smart, right Philly hat, but we are advocating, and I'm really excited for Jersey next month. You guys gonna
know what, man? If I was white, I'd be red from blushing. Thank you, bro. Even with my Philly hat on.
It's good to meet you.
Well, no, I mean, it just that whole case baffles me because right now they're reporting that 94% of Americans support medical cannabis. 94%. That's what Forbes has in their article as a report, right? Leo, Tim, Chef, we know 94%.
Yep.
Listen, them justices, you know what? If them justices really want to know how it's going down, all they got to do is turn around and ask their staff who smoke weed.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee you, weed has been in the Supreme Court for years. Ain't no way you could be a clerk for a Supreme Court justice and not smoke. Come on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they all do. I'm just saying, like, come on, like there had to be at least a few clerks who was like, yo, I got to burn something. You know what I'm saying? I bet you I wouldn't be surprised if some of them justices actually burn. It ain't like Sotomayor ain't from the Bronx.
And,
a lot of lawyers do, because you can smoke and you can go to work the next day.
Yeah.
And you can show up and you can be fine and you're not hungover. You're not any other drugs, alcohol, pretty much any other intoxicant. You're taking a chance at really being shot. Well, if you're like, you go home, you can smoke a bowl, have a couple cookies, watch TV, and then the next morning you're up and you're at work and you're not in and you don't have a headache and you're not logy. So more attorneys than want to admit it.
Listen, I truly believe in swinging the big stick early, especially when I'm arguing with people and whatnot, in particular politicians. And one of the things I love telling politicians, I'm like, all right, you already know everything about me, but I don't know nothing about you. So how about this? Tomorrow morning, everybody in the State House got to come in and take a piss test. What?
I'm gonna study real hard.
Yeah.
And by study, I mean I'm gonna smoke somewhere, right? Yeah.
Think about that. You come to work. If you challenge your entire state house, everybody who works in the state house, everybody who works in your governor's office, you know what I'm saying? I believe, like, fuck it, like, everybody got to come in and take a piss test. I was in the Army, you know what I'm saying? They used to make us do that right before we go to PT, and you never knew who was on the list. So you know what? Everybody tomorrow, let's find out what we got working with us. I bet you, you know what I'm saying? I bet you it'll blow your mind how much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that also that mentality can also fuel an opioid crisis. I've had interesting conversations with people that, you were talking before about the oil safety companies, right? One of their biggest issues is that, these guys get tested randomly, like you said, you get tested randomly, right? So if you smoke cannabis, it doesn't leave your system for
30 days, yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And if you're a consistent smoker, it could be definitely longer, right? So it just, it makes sense, right? But if you want to go do, a binge of Coke over the weekend, by Tuesday, you take a piss test, you're fine, right? These guys are going to work all coked and cracked out of their mind, like you said, and Tim was making reference to, like they just went out party all night long. They can't go to work. They get to work. It's a safety job. And guess what happens? They turn them around and send them home. So they're losing huge amounts of their workforce every day because of opioids, right? And now,
listen, do you realize how many high functioning heroin addicts there are in the world right now?
oh my God,
More
right?
than one.
Like,
I knew it in
do
law
you-
school.
Do you know how many people are really doing smack right now? And,
Yeah.
and like arguing court cases and shit, you know,
3.
doing surgeries
That's
and whatnot, flying planes and shit.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like, come on, y'all. Like, look, man.
Dude,
This,
Coke
like,
isn't-
I
Coke
don't have,
isn't
I so don't have.
for nothing, right?
Yeah, I really don't have the luxury, the bandwidth to nice my way through this conversation as of today. You know what I'm saying? So nothing for nothing. Like, let's stop pretending like this shit ain't happening.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's really stop, because again, the only reason, and the thing is the reason why I'm like this is because there is so much work that has to be done.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, if there's one thing this whole journey has been, this cannabis journey, and I often say this, has been the biggest civics lesson of my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you ain't done yet? You ain't done yet?
No, and listen, with all the shit that we have done in terms of advocating and trying to get laws changed, we haven't even got started with the work yet.
No.
Like
we're trying to fix what they wouldn't fix. You know what I'm saying?
we trying to fix so that we can get to work, so we can just get started. We ain't even got started yet.
No.
You know, I got paperwork that has executables of 2023.
Oh,
yeah, well, I was gonna say it's gonna take a few years to get any sort of system running. Even in Vermont here, if the governor passes or doesn't sign the bill, or it goes legal, if it gets legalized, right? It's a whole process. We gotta build the CCC. We gotta find the people. We gotta vote them in. We gotta build. We gotta build the contracts to write to these employees so they can have a job. I mean, it's like a whole system of. It's like opening up a brand new company. And you have to design everything from the bottom up, right? And then you have to instill the people into that, and you're building a system. Even within our state, we have to build a system, right? It's not all in the bill. There's a lot of things that are left gray, and there's a lot of things left up to that system that you built, the CCC, to take over and now manage. And then we want to talk about growing, right? So if you want to start about growing, how long? You still got a couple months before you're going to be able to get a grow through. And then if it's positive, and then that's a 6 month turnaround.
Just think like this, dude. We got a fucking space force. Where's the space force building at?
I mean, you watch Space Force on Netflix and tell me
Boots on the moon.
Come on.
I swear to God, listen.
You're not fucking wrong. It's just like, oh, are you serious right now? That's what you want to do? Like,
this dude created Space Force. Okay, and you ain't even got a Space Force building.
No, listen. He created Space Force. He can't even jump.
Oh my God!
Holy shit! Like, it's just like.
It's a riot to me, this whole Space Force thing, because before he was like, no aliens, no aliens, no aliens. He goes and visits Area 54, right? And then he comes out, he's like, Space Force, Space Force, Space Force.
but
he done pissed somebody off on Mars.
This is what's crazy. Because there is a for real Space Force, that means there's money allocated, budgeted for Space Force. You know what I'm saying? And as much of a punchline and the joke as it is, you know what I'm saying, that money is significant money in our eyes. And you know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm not, like I'm saying it jokingly, but I'm just also saying it like in comparison to, like, we about to be on that level. You know what I'm saying? Like it just feels like, like when we're talking about the meaningful discussions that would need to go into the building out of this work is going to outlive us, y'all. You know what I'm saying? None of us are going to be here to see the penthouse of our work. You know what I'm saying? None of us will. And the things that I am saying to you today that need to be said, that you all, know what I'm saying, know needs to be said, is not going to apply 2 years from now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It ain't even going, it ain't even going to apply, like seriously. And, again, because we're bickering over the little things, you know what I'm saying, that like we in our own way with this, y'all. That's really what it boils down to. And the jumping off point for everything is getting y'all asses out there to vote. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just
go vote.
Yup.
Go fucking vote.
I got this thing on my phone where I recorded myself walking into the voting booth, and I recorded myself pushing the button and all that stuff, right?
I mailed it in, but yeah.
Yeah, I keep it in my phone, because where I live at, because only 8,000 people only voted in my city, then I have to assume, based on those numbers, that majority of people that I talk to when I'm talking to you probably didn't vote. So therefore, you know what I'm saying, I can give you proof that I voted, you know what I'm saying, but I just have to assume that you didn't. And that's what that video does. Because then now I can talk to you in a different kind of way. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. Because, again, I have to assume you ain't vote. And when I talk to people, I talk to them like they didn't vote, because only 8,000 people voted. Yeah, and if you got, you need that, it helps change the dynamic of a particular type of conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I going to sit here and talk to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you look at some of the old guard, organizations within your own city, you know what I'm saying? The fact that you have so many people not voting, it makes them irrelevant to a degree. Because if I got 500 people in the city of Trenton to vote the way I want them to vote, this isn't the city council we would have. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep. And that's not a lot of people either.
It would be different.
Follow that money.
That's not a lot of people either. Which, yeah, dude, we talk about voting. This is the time. We can't say it enough, guys. Hit the boost, man. A lot of us are too confident in thinking that politicians are going to do it for us, but we got to put the politicians into those places, right? That's up to us.
You need quality politicians. That's what it is. It's about quality. And the thing is that one of the reasons, like, here's the thing. As I travel across the country, right, and I talk to various groups. I did the CEASE event in Oklahoma. I did Black Tech Week in Miami. I was supposed to be speaking at South by Southwest in Texas. I've been, doing the rounds, and when you look at the current racial and political climate of this country, what I'm finding is that people tend to lean more towards the word of a veteran before a politician these days now.
I feel that.
Just because they know they like nothing else, a veteran gonna give it to him raw dog, like, here. I'm like, it's not nice outside, it's fucked up outside. So what are you gonna do? Right. We don't have that, and people like that. Yeah, and people respond to that type of, like people just want to be level with me. Tell me what's really going on.
Real recognizes real. That's what
exactly. Yeah. Yes. And you don't see that a lot these days.
I think when it comes from a veteran, though, somebody who actually served the country, in essence, right? I mean, that's what we all think about our veterans. They're people that put their lives on for our country, right? And when there becomes a dispute like we see with cannabis legalization, right? I mean, we can call it a dispute, right? When these guys step up, it literally kind of cracks that dispute, because it's like government versus grassroots, and these guys have served both, right? They put their lives on the line, and even they are going, this works, right? I don't know any veteran that I've talked to that says, oh, that didn't help me. You know what I mean? Whether it's from going out into the garden and actually touching a plant, and that whole experience, like you said, it comes from the heart. So with some of these veterans, just to pass time and to control their emotions, go out to garden, and we're seeing huge responses to that, right? Even in
it gives them time to relax.
But you got to understand, like, okay, like keeping it all the way 100. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it all the way 100. You know what I'm saying? The veteran community is also splintered to a degree too, because you got a lot of old school veterans, them baby boomers. Yep. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them who still subscribe to that old school ideology. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And a lot of them are Trump supporters. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of that Proud Boy thing is a big deal for a lot of young white boy veterans now. You see what I'm saying? That's a very real thing. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but what it does is it just speaks to, what all is actually happening and what we have to do as a community. And I'm talking about the veteran community, is that we have to, revert back to the things that we were taught. The reason why you have the greatest military in the history of the planet is because at one point or another, every service member lived and worked in an environment that fostered success. Okay. Now here's the thing. We all only know success one way: together. We've always done it together. Listen, I know some racist ass white boys that's nigga all day. Okay. But because of a shared traumatic experience, they are like that crazy ass relative. I still gotta claim them. And I don't expect someone who's never served in the military to understand that. And I know how to the uninitiated, how crazy that may sound. But until you have shed blood in the same mud, you know what I'm saying? Listen, if something happened to me and it didn't sound right, I know some hillbillies that'll come here on some next to kin shit, ready to fuck things up. You know what I'm saying? On
a different level. I mean,
on a whole different level.
We saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of that with our recent riots too, man. Like when the military veterans and military supporters and guys in the military came out, there was no racial issues with these guys.
It was a lot like listen, I have had so many. I've had so many of my old battle buddies who fall in that racial
bias.
Yeah. I've had them reach out to me, and I've heard from them more over the last couple years than I have at any time since I've been out of the military. And it's just, just in their own way, they have their own way of just letting me know that they still love me. You know what I'm saying? And I still talk shit, just like I did. Like one thing people have to understand it comes to folks.
That's the point. Like, what you have love with, it don't matter.
It don't matter. Yeah. And listen, we argue with each other. We fight like cats and dogs, but let me tell you, they still family. They may be that crazy ass relative, but they still family, and I will move heaven and earth for them. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't, and it's the same. It's the same thing. It's weird. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But trust me,
you gotta understand the other side.
No, it's like
the
sport mentality behind it.
Can and can't do.
Yeah. I mean, there's a brotherhood behind it. There's a sport mentality behind it. There's even like a religious mentality. I mean, there's an overall view that you're fighting for. Like you said, it doesn't matter who you are. Like when you experience something, whether it's here in the States or in war, or you could be in a strange dark corner. You know what I mean? It can change your life like that, right? You open the perspective, and unfortunately, I don't think we have it, like you said, the education core. But what we've seen as education and being brought up is in the media, in movies, and it's all systematic, right? It all breeds more hatred.
You know what? The crazy part is that like I go pretty hard. You all know that, and the thing is that truth be told, I'm just a direct reflection of the leadership in which I served under. Like I see so many situations that I know that if Sergeant Johnson seen this shit, that's our asses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see.
You're a product of your environment.
Yeah, I see situations that I know if Captain DeLotte saw, well, now he's a colonel. Colonel DeLotte saw this, it's a wrap. If General Petraeus saw this, he'd tear us all up. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, if General Lynch saw this, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like I think about, and listen, a lot of the friends that I serve with now, One of them just became a command sergeant major like a week ago. You know what I'm saying? Another one just made the master sergeant's list, and another one became a sergeant major. You know what I'm saying? Like, so my friends who are still in, you know what I'm saying, they at that age where they making them kind of ranks now. You see what I'm saying? And you know, and the thing is that, you know, and I got friends who are retiring, you know, E7s, E8s, you know what I'm saying, chief petty officers, you know, all because I was in a NATO unit. So it was multi-services and we were all lumped in together. And so, you know, I see these people, and these are people whom I served with and served under. And I know that if I didn't conduct business such as the way that I'm doing it, they tear us up. Because this is not the way we were taught how to do things.
So what I heard was, no matter what, across the board, it's all about respect.
Most certainly.
Well, yeah.
Most certainly. Most certainly. There's a certain way that you got to be proficient at what it is that you do, because I'm accustomed to working in units that whose operational tempo was very, very high. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You might, you know, my actual career field in the Army was DoD telecommunications. I'm a signal guy. Yeah, that's how I ended up working for people like General Petraeus and Admiral Mike Mullins. I caught them way before they became who they became, you know, but nonetheless, they had a standard by which they expected us to work. And being that I was a part of a NATO unit, you know what I'm saying, the people whom I worked for in those units, you know what I'm saying, our training regiment, and they sent us to all kinds of schools and shit. Like, we were doing some really high speed stuff and working for some really high speed people. And so, but when you're actually in the bubble, you don't realize that. I literally lived behind Saddam Hussein's palace. I used to go eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, I remember, you know, trying to run out of the palace so I didn't get stuck having to listen to Condoleezza Rice give a speech. Like, I was like, my environment was like that. You see what I'm saying? Yep. I met Jalil Talabani, you know what I'm saying, who became the president of Iraq after Saddam. I was there to see the Transitional National Assembly take their seats for the first time in Iraq. You know what I'm saying? I was front row right there in the green zone. You see what I'm saying? Working for NATO, doing some, and then going to our Rustamaya and setting up the Iraqi army and teaching their teachers and all that shit. You know, like, these are things that I saw with my own eyes and experienced firsthand. So of course I come back to Trenton. What you think? I mean, I seen this shit before. You know what I'm saying? I seen all this before. I seen what the power of voting does and all that shit. Like, oh snap. You see what I'm saying? Yep. And when I see it, you know, I know that there's a particular type of work ethic that is required of me. And so I go back to the way I was trained. And that's why that's why I speak the way that I speak. I'm in brief mode. You know what I'm saying? People, you know, people always say, there are two types of people that say this. They're like, oh my gosh, Leo, you're so well spoken. And you know they mean for a black guy. And then you hear the people that say, oh my God, Leo, you're so well spoken, because I wish I could speak that way in public. So you tend to learn the difference, you know, like, you get it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. You can pick up on tone.
Exactly. Right.
Because you can say, hey man, you speak well, or dude, you speak well. Yeah. Like, it's a different. Yeah.
It's not with the content. You know, you understand the connotation behind it. And sometimes people don't even realize it when they're saying it, what connotation they're actually using.
Oh, imagine if, like, you were Chinese and you came into America trying to learn the language. Sarcasm does not exist in Chinese.
Listen,
they're like, does he really want him to put his foot in his ass? Like, what is that? Like, what are they about to do? Like, I don't want to watch this shit. I didn't come here for that. Like, damn.
Let me tell you how deep it is in the Chinese language, right? You know how when we're trying to when we use a filler word, when we're trying to think of something, we'll say something like like that, right?
Yep.
Okay. In Chinese, the equivalent to is nigga, 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 nigga.
Well, that's not okay.
Here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? You know, so like in as far as the Chinese are concerned, Jay-Z and Kanye West have no idea why they're in Paris because of that song "Niggas in Paris." Yeah. And to Chinese, there's just Paris.
I'm not trying to laugh at this, but at
Yeah.
the same time, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So
That's good.
you
So
see
why
what I'm
are they
saying?
in Paris? Like,
Right. Can you
Oh,
like
shit.
Paris? You know what I'm saying? And so
What
you
about
have
it?
to now here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Who's wrong? Them or us? Well, that word has been in their language for over 5,000 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That negative connotation to that word in this language is less than 4. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
These are things like it's that type of, like little small innuendos, idiosyncrasies
Yep.
that we miss on
Yep.
that prevent us from being able to truly effectively communicate. Now, understand something. I'm a signal guy. I've been in situations where people only have one chance to call home for help. So our ability to be able to properly, enunciate our words and also hear it is very, very acute because of those types of situations. And the ability to effectively communicate is something that it's a skill that has to be honed. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're in high level, VTCs with these people, these 4-star and 3-star generals, and you got admirals from all over the place, and you listening to them make some real scary ass decisions. You know what I'm saying? And then you realize real quick you don't want to be a general.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? That's why I say, like again, people really need to understand what exactly it is that they have on their hands and who they're producing. Now, check this out. You, tax-paying citizen, probably spent somewhere in the range of $6 to $7 million on my black ass. You know what I'm saying? What I have given you over the span of this conversation is a much better return on investment than a fucking suicide.
That's true.
Now imagine, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What we could do, how we could recoup that money. You understand what I'm saying? That you've already invested, just me. You know what I'm saying? That you've already invested that money. You see what I'm saying? So again, it's all in the way we approach this and how we think about it, and putting things in the most basic of understandings. Like, you actually paid for this shit, okay? Period. And one last thing real quick. I'm so sick and tired of them marching our asses out there on the fucking football fields or the basketball courts with these surprise family visits and all that, family reunions and all that shit. Us, veterans and football players, contact sport players, have so much more to talk about and in common than a goddamn flyover. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? Like, all kinds of conversations really need to be had, especially as of October 7th, 2020. Come on, y'all. Seriously.
I hear you, man. This has been an amazing conversation about a lot of great things from a great perspective, man. And like you said, he
froze again.
Well, Tim, you there? I see you.
No,
I'm here. I think we lost Joe, though.
And he was doing so good. He was
really was. I was actually really killing it today.
I was like, damn, he looks good in that picture.
He was killing it, right? You know what I'm saying? He was killing it. I was like, yeah, this was dope. I even drove, picked up my wife, came back,
got
sat
it done,
down,
baby. You got
didn't
it
even
done.
skip a beat in the interview and shit. This was like one of the best interviews ever.
No, it was good. It's very informative.
It's a blast.
It's dude, just smoke weed and talk. It's really all you gotta do.
That's the best interviews. The best interviews be them fly on the wall type of conversational interviews where you just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You learn so much more. You see what I'm saying? Especially when you get a person to be able to sit back and relax.
You know, it's interesting because I grew up in the South. I grew up in Tennessee, and let me tell you that segregation still exists. It's terrible to be, witness to that. And my mom had a restaurant, and we had all walks of life in there. Whoever we could get whenever. It's the restaurant.
So you was exposed early.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about exposure. I mean, once you figure out, first of all, once you figure out that we all pretty much are just alike, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. We're all assholes.
Yup, and listen, we probably all done got our asses whooped a time or two. You don't talk to the old people a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
You have to show a certain level of respect when the old people come in and all that stuff. You know, we all want we want better for our children and all that. You know, once you get to those, you know, we're not as different from each other as people think.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? And once you know, and that's what the military does, is it actually humanizes people, you know, to a large part, because, you know, for a lot of people, like being stationed in Europe, I was stationed in Italy, but my job was whenever the SMG2 battle group would change its flagship designator, I'd fly out to wherever that ship was and switch out the onboard comms, right? But because this was NATO, I'd be on foreign Navy ships and shit. And listen, a lot of times I would go places and I'd be the first Black person these sailors ever seen in real life. You know what I'm saying? And here's the crazy part. Every time I met somebody, they would be like, American? And I'd be like, yeah. And the first thing they do this. You know, and I'd be like, what the hell is that? You know, and you realize, because you're Black, all they see is what they see on TV. And what they see on TV is hip hop. You know, and so like you had like that would be the experience. You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, you could use that as an icebreaker, so that works.
Oh, listen, whenever I went out on mission, right? I always carried the same. I made sure there was must-haves that I needed to carry. I always carried 2 packs of Newports. I would burn a copy of Poor Righteous Teacher's first album. I would burn a copy of Nas.
Did he freeze too? Oh no, he didn't.
Yep, and what else? Oh, and I always brought my radio, because a lot of times we would have to do work on these ships to get the SATCOM up, and so I would play my radio, and like bringing hip hop, and then they would oftentimes they would assign a sailor or two to us to work with us on these foreign ships. And so when the job would be done and everything, I would leave those 2 CDs with whoever worked with me. My way of spreading hip hop in different ways. Listen, I worked on a Turkish missile boat, a Greek missile boat. You know what I'm saying? I've been on all different kinds of boats putting up SATCOM, and so satellite communications. And so, for me, it was just an opportunity to, meet new people. I met and listen, them Newports, they got me into so many things, because
it's currency, dude.
Yeah, because those foreign navies, they can't get Newports.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you had Newports, you know what I'm saying, that would open up a lot of doors.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny you should mention that, because I live in Michigan. I'm in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay.
So every time I tell people I'm from Michigan, they're like, "Oh, that's cool." So Eminem, and I'm like, "Yo, he don't even live in Michigan anymore. Like, it's just straight Detroit." And I'm
Everyone
like,
identifies it.
yeah, exactly. I was like, you realize I have a fucking beard, right? Like, I looked more like the guy on the Verner's bottle, and then they're like, "What's Verner's?" I'm like, never mind. It's just like, fuck, I'm giving up on you at this point. But it's I've used a bunch of I've used Newports as currency to buy days off before. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I was really, really sick, and like, I don't know. I was just like, I had to I didn't call in. I showed up to work. I bought a new pack of cigarettes, and I smoked Newports. I probably shouldn't have been smoking. Chef's like, "How sick are you?" And then I was like, "Really? Like, I just yacked out there." He's like, "All right, let's go smoke." I was like, "I'll try and drive one into me." I was like, "I just bought a pack of smokes." And he was like, "All right, buy me one." So then I lit one, and I couldn't even get it in me. He goes, "All right, give me your cigarettes, and you can go home." I'm like, "I'm out. I'm out, man. I'm out."
You won't get an argument out of me. See you, boss.
No.
Word.
I made it home. I shut my door. I fell asleep on my living room couch, like, with my chef coat and everything on. Like, I still had my knife bag was next to, it was not good, man. It was. I don't ever usually, I just kept working, but. So Joe just messaged me and said that his internet went out. That sucks. And he asked me if we were still going on. I don't know what all that means, but yeah.
That's horrible. Oh, wait,
there he is.
He's back.
There he is.
No, complete crusher for a minute. I'm like, no.
Thank God you came when you did. I told a horrible story about me.
All right.
Yeah, it totally changed my concept of who you really are, Joe, for real.
Well, I'll have to watch that later on. Hopefully we're still live. I don't know. Yeah, it says we're still live.
We're still live.
Yeah, it says we're still live.
Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. I've all of a sudden everything just died. I'm like trying to message and nothing's reloading. You know, it's just like, oh man. The wonder of the internet and probably everywhere in the world now. I don't even say even in our area, but get back to where we just left off. I did want to bring up two big things. Mark Zuckerberg, right? We're talking about social media, all these different things. Mark Zuckerberg just gave 500 grand to, is it Oregon, right? For decriminalization of drugs. What is this, Tim?
Well, $500,000 to Mark Zuckerberg, like $5 to you or I. So, but hey, it's great. I think it's in the right direction. What is his motivation? If he was so into drug decriminalization, why can't my law firm advertise on Facebook? Why do they kick cannabis companies off constantly? Why are people persecuted? Why isn't he getting, I'd be a lot happier to see Mark Zuckerberg get some of this hate speech off of Facebook. But, hey, money is money. Money, unfortunately, fuels these programs, fuels movements. You can't get much done if you don't have that backing. Well, so, on the surface, it's great. Everybody who wants to put towards the fight. I'd like to know a little more. I just read this briefly. I'd like to know a little more about the organization it was donated to. I'd like to know a little more details. And maybe it's because I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg and I don't trust Facebook. Who knows? But hey, if it's what it appears to be, great.
Look, check this out though. This is how I look at it. We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, right? Yeah. So $500,000 to Mark Zuckerberg is like $50 to us.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's
like,
spit in a paper.
I bet you he probably it was, how much did I say? 500? Oh, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that's about as much as he probably thought about it. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? And so you know what? With everything that we got going on, do I really need to chase down that rabbit hole? What good is that information going to do me at this time? You know what I'm saying? Like it's look, so what? It's $500,000. That ain't shit. He probably got that on his bedroom floor and change. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously,
I get the finances, nothing. It's just, to me, it's the how ironic it is. Like, again, like Tim nailed it right in the head for me. Like, we can't promote. We get shadow banned. We're being shadow banned right now. Yep. We can't invite people to our events. We can't.
But you know what though? He knew that. But that's not something he don't. It's not like he don't already know that.
Right.
What are we telling him something that he are like? Listen, you know what I'm saying? It would have more of a meaning if he changed the restrictions on Facebook.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Mike Zuckerberg, not Zuckerberg.
You know what I'm saying? Not at that point. Now you got my attention. $50. Come on, man. I don't care what he probably. You know what? He probably met somebody somewhere and was like, "Wow, that person was interesting. Give him $500,000. I don't care. Fuck it. Give him $50." You know what I'm saying? You know,
he probably gets more. He probably gets more back in the right.
Take this shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Go ahead, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? That's about, or you know what? Maybe $500,000 is about as much help as you're going to get from Mark Zuckerberg when it comes to cannabis. That's probably the best that he could do. You understand what I'm saying? And he could look at you in the face and say, it's better than nothing. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, regulations. Yep. As a matter of fact, he's done $500,000 more than a lot of other people have done for cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Sure. That all keeping it all the way 100. You know what I'm saying? What I'm most concerned with is we got to get to work, and we need everybody. You know what I'm saying? Not listen. And I'm saying it like this on purpose. Not everybody. We need everybody. Yeah. Everybody, like get your asses up and let's go. We got.
It starts with voting.
Well,
that's my point. Yeah, there you go. Vote. That's why I said the shit that I said.
Vote. Open up these social media platforms so we can, utilize this industry and market it and promote it in positive fashions.
Well, see, you know what though, with all the things that they're dealing with right now, especially after this Russia shit and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even mad that we're not high on their priority list right now. No.
At least we're still on, right?
Yeah, like I'm sure marketing like, what, weed? Nigga, do you know what I'm dealing with right now? You know what I'm saying? They talking about pressure on my ass. They talking about monopoly. They said something about monopoly today. Like, goddamn.
Yeah. When we look at most state senators and then federally levels, I mean, that's what we talk about a lot. I mean, like, we all are concerned about cannabis. These guys have 400 other things that probably serve a better purpose to their positions and their jobs and what they need to do every day.
Cannabis is that much of their time. Cannabis is that much of their time. They really don't give a damn. And you know what? We really don't have the luck, the time to be going chasing some conspiracy theory about Mark Zuckerberg and cannabis. Fuck no. We got to do what we got to do.
That's right. Now let's talk about this real quick, Tim. Speaking about the government, the FDA, right? So I don't know if you guys saw this. CBD candy maker settles lawsuit after the judge declares lack of FDA guidelines are relevant to the ruling. I don't know if you guys saw that. There's a couple different rulings this week where things like this happen. But there's been a settlement reached, and it was for an accused products manufacturer. I'm trying to find the name of it because I know there's a couple different ones. Bond Corp. They're based out of Toronto, and it's. What's this mean? Does this raise a question for any other lawsuit moving forward that because the FDA guidelines are so gray?
It's an argument. We'll see if it wins. I mean, it's it's an argument that can be made that if the facts fit it, maybe.
If we win, who gives a shit? It all happens, right?
That's absolutely right.
I mean, in this case, there's a settlement reached, you know what I mean? But the basis of the settlement, it was basically reached because, again, the FDA outlines are so, the judge didn't know how to rule on it, right? That has to tell us something, right? Something in this country has to tell the FDA something, right?
Oh yeah, it again. Remember what I told you? We don't even have an industry standard unit of measurement yet.
Right.
You think forget what their involvement is. Start concentrating on what they're gonna have to do. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? What is the FDA is going to have to allocate personnel into figuring out how to enforce rules within this brand new industry that they know nothing about. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Like one of the suggestions that I made to the lawmakers here was that, you know what, if you want to save yourself a lot of heartache and pain, start absorbing these activists out here because they know everything. Yeah. You don't want the bullshit to happen here. You don't want people to get fucked up out here. Then absorb all of the activists. Certain activists would be the reason why you got some of these fucked up companies not coming to Jersey. Yep. You understand what I'm saying? You got who? Joseph Smith on the team. Oh nah, we good. We ain't going there. You see what I'm saying? Right? They don't want to deal with that shit. They don't want to deal with you. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really like I said earlier, the tribe is small, but we everywhere. Yep. You see what I'm saying? And those states that are absorbing these activists. Look at Portland, Oregon hiring Dashida Dawson. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like, damn, they Portland hit the lottery off the bat with that one. You know what I'm saying? Look at Boston. Look at Massachusetts with Shalene. Yep.
Shalene.
You know what I'm saying?
It's incredible. I've spoken
like
amazing.
Shalene is the reason why, if anything didn't make sense, it made sense. You see what I'm saying? And Shalene went in there tearing ass up. Like, hey, like if they start looking at the activists, you see what I'm saying, and not just in commissioner roles, but even in enforcement, they know what to look for. They know everything. You know what I'm saying? And remember what I said, it's going to take everybody. Well, there you go. Because it's going to take time to properly educate, you know what I'm saying, a real first generation workforce. And listen, that first generation workforce is going to be multi-generational. Why? Because 50 million motherfuckers just applied for unemployment benefits the last couple of months.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's what, again, it's pretty soon it's going to be about not just quantity, but quality of worker. We need worker bees. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but again, my rhetoric has to be time appropriate. And when you like 3 weeks away, you know what I'm saying, from voting for this shit, you need to be, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, for real. You know what I'm saying? All that asking nicely and all that shit, that got to go out the door.
No,
I ain't asking for
real.
shit. I'm just doing it.
Well, one of the most important things I think in the news this week I saw literally was news to my ears, man. Marijuana arrest has declined nationally for the first time in the last 4 years. So that's epic for us, right? We're talking about trying to get this stigmas and moving past these issues of arrests and all the complications from that. The interesting part of the conversation was to see it rise in the last 4 years, in my opinion. You know what I mean? We've talked about a lot on the show with Tim, and I'm sure we'll see a decline hopefully this year due to obviously coronavirus. Will this help with any sort of things moving forward on a federal level, Tim? Do you think, or is this just some more news that we can all like applaud for as activists, but doesn't really pose any real issues because everybody talks about arrest, crimes, accidents. This is the prohibitionists use against us.
It's a metric. It's one of many metrics.
Tell it.
Yes, it's good that arrests are going down. Nobody should ever be penalized for marijuana ever under any circumstances. Period. End of story. Period. It's like being prosecuted for having tomatoes. It's just ridiculous. But so arrests going down, that's fantastic. How about probation violations, parole violations, people being locked up for ancillary reasons as a result of a positive THC test, both at state and federal level. I have a client, I think I've told you this story. She's a former opiate addict who got off on her own, got clean, did everything that we were supposed to do, prosecuted federally for a marijuana charge. We got a probation. She's on federal probation right now. Sprains her ankle, breaks her ankle actually. And talks to her PO like, listen, they gave me Percocets. I don't want to take opiates. I had an opiate problem. I don't want to take opiates. I'm in a lot of pain. Can I please smoke pot? I'm a medical patient. I have it for pain. Here's my, absolutely not, under no circumstances. It tells you has to take the Percocets or nothing. If you smoke the pot, you're going in. This is what we're dealing with in 2020 still. So yes, arrests going down, is that a good thing? Absolutely. But it's the surface. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's a scratch. This needs to continue. And the one thing I get scared of is people hear something like that and then they say, oh, good, well, we won, we're done, arrests are going down. And it's good. We got that, we got an inch, now we're gonna take a mile. We got a mile, now we're gonna take 5 miles. And we just gotta keep pushing and keep fighting this because nobody should ever, it's obviously everybody should have access to medication. I mean, PTSD, these veterans coming home, they're putting them on these pharmaceuticals, they're jacking them up, and then they got to take another pharmaceutical, there's a side effect of the first pharmaceutical, but don't you dare take CBD, don't you dare smoke a joint, And even the VA doctors who know the medical value are prohibited because of the classification of the Schedule 1 substance. So arrests down, yes. Just the tip of the iceberg, yes.
But the tip of the iceberg is all it took to sink the Titanic, though, bro. Think about it.
Yeah.
I would use that. It only took a tip to sink the iceberg. The Titanic.
Well, I mean, it's true, man. We're gonna keep chipping away at this, right? No, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's all relevant, man. It all takes precedent to what's going on. One other thing that I just saw just now that kind of surprises me a little bit. The Navajo Nation passes a resolution outlawing hemp. They passed a resolution claiming that all forms of cannabis is considered marijuana. So, will this have any effect with anything?
Well, that's good, though. That's actually a good thing.
Yeah,
and there. Let me tell you why it's a good thing. Because it's a bad thing that it's not allowed overall. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good thing that they no longer make the distinction between marijuana and hemp.
Yep.
That's the good thing. That like in all honesty, whether they realize it or not, and I hope they do, is that now in that thinking, they're ahead of the U.S. government and states as well. You know what I'm saying? Because states, you know, still make the distinction between marijuana and hemp. You know what I'm saying? And in all honesty, you know, they're not two different things. They're one and the same. It's the way we're looking at it. That's the issue. And we have to stop, you know, we have to stop looking at, like, again, season 8, episode 4, you know what I'm saying? That was something we learned in season 5. I think that was season 5, episode 9.
Right.
You know,
as
you
long
know
as
what I'm
it's not
saying?
Game of Thrones, we're all right.
Right. I'm just making these references in terms of, you know, us being in season 8, episode 4, and, you know, our lawmakers are still in season 1. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, again, right.
Right, and then you also have the West Coast. We also have we have an interesting distinction between the East Coast and West Coast, because the West Coast market's been going for so long, right? I mean, literally, you know, this is kind of a new to the East Coast market. It's kind of like we look at like we're reinventing a fucking wheel every time somebody wants to go legal. Every state wants to go legal. Well, we have states that have been legal. They have processes that have been working. You know, obviously, with them being legal for as long as they have been out west, there's things that we've learned, right, that we can implement. So it's not like we have to reinvent a wheel here. I mean, the outline is built, right?
You're absolutely right. And let me tell you something. I've done this before. You know, I've spent time out on the West Coast. I have a lot of friends on the West Coast, and I've, you know, been to LA, you know, 1,000 times, and, you know, been to Vegas, you know, a bunch of times. And what I will tell these guys this: if we had what they've had for as long as they've had it, this industry wouldn't look like this. Not here on the East Coast, because, you know, like, everything here is about a hustle. We're always trying to figure out how to flip a dollar. And, you know, like, these issues that we have in terms of this industry would have been addressed a very long time ago. And so, you know, that's why I say that. You know, the things that we have to worry about now is, when you look at the West Coast, especially now with the fires and everything, right? You know, you have a lot of those particulates in the air. And on the West Coast, there's a lot of outdoor grows. And that air quality on these different harvests and stuff like that, it does have an impact on cannabis. You see what I'm saying? And so now, you know, like, when you look at everything that's within, you know, that's affected by not just the actual burn,
everything again,
but I'm talking like the places that aren't on fire, but the sky be orange. That's not good for those plants.
No.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, you know, especially, like, this is the second time in 2 years, within a year and a half, that the worry on the legacy market will be the quality of the product coming in from out west. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing: we have to worry for the next few years, man. That's the problem. Like, it's not just a few months; it's a few years.
Now, here's the thing: when you talk about hemp, you just need 90 days.
Yeah, hemp can clean that ground, but that's not the point. You know, the point is, these motherfuckers ain't making their money growing hemp. You know what I'm feeling?
So it's like, you know, like, it's basically, you're in a perpetual hurry up and wait type of situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what has to happen. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? It's times like these, when this happens, those alliances that I talked about really come into play. You know what I'm saying? If anything, if the East Coast, if Jersey was really on point, you know what I'm saying? If we was really, really on point, now would be that time where, you know, Jersey could say something like, you know, okay, California, we got your back. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
This is when they like, but we're not even there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so from an industry whole, you know, I don't think that, you know, we're going to see much of anything as far as a bump goes, unless you're looking at the legacy market. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to have to start questioning. Yeah, you're going to have to start questioning what you get.
Well, why aren't neighboring states working together more when we talk about legalization? You know what I mean? Like, we're looking at New Hampshire in the middle of Maine, New Hampshire, Mass, right? You're talking about being next to New York, you know, in these other huge markets.
Delaware's voting for this too.
I mean, why do we have these border stipulations? I mean, you know, why are not the states working more together to programs that, you know, because I think one of the biggest problems we're going to see is, like, again, you said it before, we talk about all the time. People come from Maine, drive across New Hampshire, or go from Vermont, drive across New Hampshire, get to Maine to get products because, hey, it's either better, it's cheaper, or whatever the reasoning is, right? We still have people jumping even legal markets to go to other markets because of other, whatever reasons there is, usually because of taxes, cheaper, more available, right?
Well,
I can go to Maine and get my medical card a lot easier, but I probably can get it here in Vermont, right?
Well, you know what's interesting is that you have a lot of states, right, who are jumping into the game, or even in talks, or in advanced talks, right? The problem that we have, people like me and you, is that they're not actually talking to the right people.
No, not at all.
That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? They're talking to people who who they're familiar with from anything other than cannabis.
Right.
And there you have it. So what has to happen is the industry as well as the community, that, like, this is what's really important. The industry and the tribe have to agree on certain people. That's what's necessary.
It's kind of like a labor union,
that's really what's necessary. When certain people walk into a room, from a political standpoint, you know, politically, you know who they speak for.
Right.
That's where it gets tricky. And this is where, and I've had these kinds of conversations with people, because I'm like, you know, you have to, like, when you're talking about this type of stuff, I actually watched a country be built from the ground up. Okay. And I got to tell you, that is, you know, the decision. It's easy for me and you to say the things that we say because we're not the ones sitting in those chairs.
Yeah.
The moment you get in those chairs, your decision making becomes different real quick. Okay. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's just that it is not until you are in that chair that you understand. Once the weight of it all comes down on you, it's like, oh shit. You see what I'm saying? And so now you're making decisions for everybody.
He's got to consider all sides.
Exactly. It's not even considered.
Don't care about the other side.
Yeah, because
we want our weed legalized. We want our medical marijuana. We want. And it's almost like them. They don't want. It's just a battle, right?
Right.
But what you said's right. You have to find that person.
You have to, and the thing is that there isn't a lot of that. You understand what I'm saying? Those people who are revered in both the advocacy world and the business world. You see what I'm saying? That's what being a veteran does for me. It allows me to travel, to traverse between both worlds. You know what I'm saying? And then also, I sit on the board for the advisory board for the CWCB Expo. And so, you know, my camera angle is always in wide when I look at this industry. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm exposed continuously to the science, technology, engineering, art, and math of cannabis and hemp. You see what I'm saying? By virtue of the people who I have, you know, developed some really meaningful relationships with, who do, you know, who are doing some really phenomenal things. You know, like I was just on the phone with Jeff Whalen the other day, and I saw Beth Stavola last week. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. And these are people whom I consider to be dear friends of mine. and being able to politic and talk with them and understand and see how the industry trends are, you know, these are the reasons. Yeah, and the thing is, it puts me in a unique position because I can translate things. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, like I tell people this all the time. You know, I have seen and done the worst that man can do to man, and it's happened on a continuous basis. And when that happens to an individual such as myself, your value system changes real quick. Okay, you know, and so for me, you know, my motivation is not even, you know, money. My motivation is always my family, you know, and of course, do I want something out of this? Absolutely. I ain't doing all this shit for free. But at the same time, what I'm really motivated by is, you know, a level playing field for everybody. You see what I'm saying? You know, like, look.
Patient for everybody.
Yeah, I just want you, I don't think you should be on the same level as certain companies, but I think you should have the same opportunities as those same companies. And then it's incumbent upon you to build yourself up to be able to compete. That's what I want. I want you to have the ability to compete, legitimately compete. And so we have to build, you know, and I'm also understanding where we are at this time in time. And it requires this particular type of thinking. And that's what I'm doing. You know, when they talk about generational wealth and all the other stuff, I'm talking about generational revenue. You know what I'm saying? Not just for me, but I also look at for my city. You know, like I think about my state. Where's the college, the Cannabis College of New Jersey going to be at? What municipality is going to house that? You know how much fucking money that's going to be? You see what I'm saying? Like I think about that type of shit. You see what I'm saying? And you know, like who knows that this is the type of shit they be naming buildings and statues after people for. It's like that, and like it's and these thoughts are actually very legitimate thoughts at this time in time. You see what I'm saying? Like what universities came because prohibition ended? You see what I'm saying? Like that's the type of stuff, you know, what's the name of the federal marijuana department going to be? Who's going to be the secretary of weed? You see what I'm saying? For the country. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be like all that shit? Like you know how many jobs are going to be created just from the fact that the FDA has to get involved now? They got to go, people got to go to school to learn how to know what the fucking smell. And we ain't even got an industry standard unit of measurement yet.
Well, even with it,
going to enforce.
So basically, we just got to relearn the metric system.
Hell yeah!
There's a lot.
You know
I mean, there's a lot to it. Think about the endocannabinoid system, just from a medical standpoint. You know what I mean?
And what about, you know, and remember when I said the establishing and cultivation of international trade routes? Do you realize that you know, look, let me tell you how they got this shit broke down, right? South America is going to be the labor. It's only 15 cents. Okay. And like it's only 50, so that's where the labor is going to come from, right? And the tech, that's going to come from Europe. And do you know what North America gets to be? And when I say North America, that's encompassing Canada as well, for all you stupid ass people who don't realize it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All we get to be is consumers. That's it. That's how they like that's how far ahead they are when it comes to this. You know, when you talk about social justice and equity, and when you talk about social equity and minority inclusion, you're going to find out real quick that those are just American issues, because you have teams here, people building out their teams like they're playing football. They got their quarterback, they got their wide receivers, and they got their O-line. They have a monster of a defense. The problem is that when they run out on the field, they figure out real quick the rest of the world plays the other football. The rest of the world plays soccer. And those issues that we're talking about, they're just American issues. And all that talk, you know, when you look at the global game, all that talk of the little guy, shit, I don't know what in the hell happened, but something went down in South Africa where they think, for whatever reason, that people on the East Coast are the shit when it comes to growing. And I don't even know how the hell that happened. That's the type of shit I'm dealing with right now in terms of deal flow. You know, like as a society, we need to get the hell up off that women shit, because I don't know what the hell is going on, but these chicks done took this damn industry by the fucking head, They got it in the headlock, and they ain't letting it go. And I'll be honest with you, you be wise to start hiring their asses because their attention to detail is second to none. These chicks know what they're talking about. So all that male bitch asses you got going on, that shit need to go real quick. You understand what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of women out there that know exactly what the hell they're doing.
This is an industry that leads very well to the women. You know what I mean? It's an industry, like we said before. It is a huge industry. It's not just growing, it's industrial, it's paper, it's processing, it's delivery, it's shipping, it's
and they're like the main decision makers in the house any fucking way. So what the hell?
Yeah, do we all do anything without consulting them, right? Like, come on.
Speaking of consulting women, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Today's actually my girl's birthday. I gotta go cook some dinner for her. We're gonna do lobster mac.
It's been a great conversation. We're sorry about the show taking so long. We do have a couple of segments. What we'll do is we'll roll them into we'll pop them on the YouTube, guys, for you. I got a couple of meetings I got to get to too as well. I appreciate having you guys all on. Timothy Fair from Vermont Cannabis Solutions again. Thank you.
Till next week, Leo. Great to meet you, man. You got to come back and visit. I'd love to continue the conversation, bro. I really would.
Listen, y'all. Let me just put it out there. If you want to find me, we're having a virtual webinar on November 17th to the 18th with CWCB Expo, and also CWCB Education will also be having a webinar, I believe, I can't remember when, but it's coming up soon.
In the weeds and that shit.
Tell Lauren and Zach I said hi. And no doubt. I'm going to call Zach right now, actually. So he's got my contact info.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna see Zach probably this weekend.
Yeah, I'm told me call right after the show, so I gotta.
Joe, Leo,
that's great, man.
Peace, guys.
Joe, guys, everybody have a great night.
Leo, I appreciate your time again. A pleasure having you on again. I was really excited for this conversation. I'm glad to have you on again. We'll have to plan this after we figure out what New Jersey's going to do, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I'll lay it all out for you. And again, catch me up in Boston on October 15th at Elevate Cannabis.
I'll message you the next day or two. Let me check my schedule. I want to be there. Me or Rick Dyer, one of our crew will be down there in support for sure. Elevate Cannabis, October 15th, grand opening in Boston. I can't wait. Man, awesome for the work you do, man. And I appreciate you coming in, especially being from a military background, seeing and just having that level of headedness. That's the one thing.
No problem, bro, man. I enjoyed myself, bro. You have a good one, all right?
Definitely, Leo. We'll talk very soon, man.
Later, man.
Peace. Thank you, guys.
Peace.